Today on Drawbli, we are drawing
Demon Slayer characters.
Click that subscribe button if you are new around here.
And comment below with other ideas of what we can draw. Fan art is welcome because officially we are doing fan art.
Yes, I love your idea of taking a cosplayer and then painting that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is something that I need to try.
Especially I feel like for anime, if you don't really want to draw anime because you're like
in that style, you mean?
Yeah, because I can't do it. I probably could with any time and practice, but I haven't ever been inclined to try too much. So I found this cosplay and I liked the image, so I went for it. I love what you chose.
You got that background so quick, like those wheat stalks. That looks really good.
Yeah, and
That's
look
cool.
at me not using the selection tool exclusively at this point. I'm bringing back in brushes. Brushes are now back in, but we do go back to the selection tool a lot, so.
Well, it's a useful tool, so.
I love what you chose, though. That character has always been such a cool one.
Yeah, I just like the, traditional Oni mask, the demon mask. It's very cool.
You've sculpted a very cool Oni mask in the past.
I have. I'll put an image up of what that looks like. Tell me about your workflow here for Zenitsu.
Yeah, Zenitsu. So blocking in shapes in the colors that they approximately are. Nothing here too groundbreaking. The hand, as usual, ends up being this travesty of a difficult thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I'm still kind of getting to know the selection tool at this point, guessing a lot of the time. It's all part of the journey of becoming better.
This cosplayer is a very talented. I'm not sure if they are the one who edited this image, but the colors and just general value range in that image is very, very nice. I am almost disbelieving that is a genuine outdoor image just because of the lighting on the character. It's so nice.
It's so perfect.
From outdoor lighting, you don't normally see that super strong light from the right side like that. I don't know, maybe you do.
I generally, when I've searched cosplayers before, the internet's pretty good about crediting the cosplayer, so if I can find that again, I will definitely say who it is below in the description.
Mine's literally just a screenshot from the show.
I know. But I feel like I like what you did because it's not necessarily like drawing an anime character, which I feel like with anime, it's so easy to get wrong. Everybody does it right that I see, but it's also really easy to get the eyes wrong and the proportions wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
because there's
a lot of variation when it comes to the anime style. I think like there are so many things that people say like, oh, that's anime, and it's like, yeah, I guess, but like within that there's a very wide range of styles. But one thing that I really dislike with that in mind is that a lot of people will say, oh, that's stylized, and that word literally means nothing.
I know, I've heard you talk about that before.
Everything except for perfect realism is stylized.
Yeah.
Like, that is literally what the word means. It has a style.
What do you think they're trying to say then?
I think that the term stylized, specifically in the 3D industry of recent let's say the past decade, has become more synonymous with like Disney, Pixar-esque, which is definitely where my 3D, my personal style kind of lives within that area.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess that's kind of where my mind is at in terms of that, but like when I hear stylized, I'm like, that's nothing.
What would your word be for it?
Well, clean, sharp, soft.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I can use to describe my particular proclivities in the 3D art region.
Clean, sharp, soft. Well, that's what I like. That's what I like with the selection tool and
hyper clean,
learning about
primary
this kind of
forms.
You're
very
good at that.
Yeah. I mean, I might even throw the word appealing in there.
Oh.
But that a lot of the time, I think people think that doesn't really have much of a meaning, but in truth, there are objective things you can do to make shapes more appealing than others.
Yes, I love what you've talked about in terms of taper of shapes, some hits, some breaks, that kind of thing. That's always really fun to hear about.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like you're using a brush here. Are you back on the brush train, Abby?
I do a little bit of brush work,
You,
a tiny amount here, just to fill in little weird gaps.
Do
But
you use the syrup brush for that? Or are you...
I think I just used whatever brush popped up first when I clicked on the brush.
So what pencil brush do you use?
I used a 6B a lot, but there's also one in a brush set called Sketchy that I sometimes use. I'm not super picky. I'm not tied to anything.
I need to find... So I've been using the peppermint brush, but I feel like the peppermint pencil brush almost has too much texture in it for me. It's very, very noisy. I need to find a line art brush that I really like. I haven't found that yet.
Can I just say right here, I like where your guy is at a lot with his clothing, the colors next to each other. Very nice. Very appealing.
Why, thank you. Yeah, I just kind of layered them all together. It actually, this part is kind of time consuming for me to just like get all the block colors in there. It's not necessarily super glamorous or fun to do, but it's just like a part of the process that needs to happen. And I will often just throw in a whatever color to start like figuring out like the color of the mask. Like I just threw in a red and I'm like, oh, I'll adjust that later. And it really helps for me to get all the colors on there and compare against them, like having them next to each other. Just because when I have one color, I'm like, this looks off, but like it needs to be darker, but does it need more saturated? And then I can like fiddle with it forever, or I can just wait and do it later.
Oh, cool. I like that. I feel like you do a really good job of blocking in all the bigger forms very quickly and then like detailing down from there. My workflow, its flaw currently is that I
start
small,
yeah.
And remain small.
Yeah. So this is just like my knowledge, at least. I don't always do this, I will say, but this is what I try to do. Start big and then, big to small just kind of makes sense. At least that's how I work in sculpture. So yeah, I think it would work here. And just from an objective standpoint, I think it makes the most sense. But like I said, I don't always do it either. So it's really, just because a lot of the things that I can do are similar to what I would do in 3D doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to pick up on that.
Yeah. I like his nose.
Yeah, I like his nose
so
too.
much.
Yeah, there are like a lot of little details I could add to this mask in terms of like the
furrow line. Oh, which you are adding now.
Yeah, I do add some of those in. As well as like some of the jagged texture of this, which I'm just like, whatever, get it in. If I want to refine it later, I can. There's also some like little details on the mask, like wrapping around the nose, like showing the curvature of it. Lots of little things that I just kind of get in quickly to get the general gist of. But maybe something we could do for an upcoming episode, we could spend a little more time on an artwork,
I would love that.
Yeah, maybe we set like a 3-hour time limit. Whoa.
That would play back so fast.
Yeah, it would, but it would be really cool to, talk about that whole thing. And we could spend a little longer talking about it if we need to.
And I think I'm at a point too where I could definitely start to spend 3 hours on a piece without having that necessarily be a huge waste of time noodling around. Now before, when we started, that would have not been beneficial to me really much at all to work on the same piece for up to 3 hours because I was still learning so many of the little basics.
Yeah.
But now I'm still learning a lot of the basics.
Yeah.
But I could just work on the basics for a lot longer.
Yeah, I really like what you did there with the what is that called? The hilt? The handle? I guess just the handle. The hilt's the guard thing. Is that the hilt?
I guess it's the hilt.
No,
the guard is the guard, and the hilt is the hilt.
Oh. Well, I really like the way that you put the dots on the for those triangular shapes, those trapezoidal shapes.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
To kind of block out where you would put those. I thought that was a really clever way to go through that.
Oh, thank you. And then I ended up, I think, erasing half of it and redoing it.
Oh, why'd you do that?
I didn't like the curve of the hilt. I felt like it needed to be straighter, so I went back in and redid it. But no big deal. And then I didn't do the dots. which I should have done because then I got too many diamonds.
You got too many diamonds.
It was a labor of love.
This is what happens.
This is why I could spend 3 hours on a piece.
So
just noodling around.
It's interesting that you say like you did too many. So like when it comes to doing something like this, do you care if there are too many? Like let's say there's 7 on the sword there, and you put 10 on your sword. Like, do you care? Do you go back? Do you fix that?
I'm not
like,
caring about the specific number. I'm caring about like the busyness of it. I wish because it makes it look a lot more busy to have multiple, and this image itself is not that busy, so I don't like having a really busy point in there that's not supposed to be the total focus of the whole piece. Like, I don't go and count and specifically place the triangles on his clothing later. I just kind of block in some triangles roughly where they are and don't worry too much about it, as long as they don't distract as much. Because I just think the diamonds ended up being a little more distracting.
Too busy. Too busy on the sword.
Yeah.
I feel like this one I actually remember working on, and I remember working on it rather slowly. And because like I was not super focused while I was working on this. I was just sitting on the couch and like kind of lazily working on it. And the hour went by pretty quick for me.
Yeah.
Like I could have accomplished a lot more in the amount of time that I did, but I did kind of what we were talking about, working big to small. So I blocked out the shapes, then I went in there, as you can see, starting to make some of my shadow shapes. I really liked the strong shadow on the mask.
Love that,
like
now that you've added that. And I love how you extended it up the furrow lines in the forehead. That's a good touch. And along the nose. You did a really, really good job with that. And you're narrowing his face a little bit because you flipped him. Oh, the flip. I have been so bad about not flipping my work.
Why not?
I just forget.
It's so easy.
I mean, it's easy. I just forget, and I'm a little scared. A little scared to do it.
Oh, no. I try to do it as often as I
know,
can
I should
remember.
do it more.
Just because I know that I've been staring at it too long. Plus, my eyes are just lopsided.
They must be. Mine must be. With the way I create stuff, and then I flip it, and I'm like, what is wrong with me?
It's just... Well, it's because things build up slowly. You get used to looking at them, and you can't necessarily notice some of the things that are going on there.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just how the art do.
Sometimes if I've gotten all the way to the end of working on something and I haven't flipped it yet, I won't flip it at all. I'll be like, this is how it is. I don't want to destroy it. I have no more time to work on it. I'm just going to pretend it's okay.
Oh no. Well, we are doing Demon Slayer, so we got to talk about how awesome the last season of Demon Slayer was.
Oh my gosh, it was absolutely incredible.
We are all caught up now, hence the Demon Slayer prompt.
I love Demon Slayer because it's like the perfect anime for the not super into anime yet person too.
Is that you? Is that how you would describe yourself?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I'm not well versed in it for sure. I have enjoyed it when I've come across.
Not a full-blown weeb yet.
Not yet. I'll join you someday. But I love the art style so much. It's just so beautiful to watch it every second. And the second season is even more beautiful than the first. I love how in the show, everybody is actually outlined all the time.
Very strong stylistic choice there.
Would you say it's stylized? No, stylistic choice. I like that.
A very strong aesthetic choice. Maybe.
Yeah, where the line work is very like irregular in its thickness and thinness at different points. I think that's so fun to look at and to watch. Yeah,
one thing I mentioned this to you the other day when we were watching, and I was like, why? So like when the main character swings his sword and there's water like splashing all over in the scene, is that actually happening, or is that like a representation of? Like, is that a stylistic choice?
I don't know. I don't think it's actually happening, but...
I think it actually is. Like, in the first season, it didn't seem to affect anything, but in the most recent season, I feel like with the fire, like, swirling around, I'm pretty sure they talk about it, like, being hot.
And like, burning through things.
Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure it's, like, genuinely... like magic.
You might be right.
The magic system.
That's hard to say.
The thunder
breathing of this guy. I mean, his lightning is it the lightning striking everywhere, or is it him just being really fast and striking
really
everywhere?
fast.
Wow. This character, I think he's the most gorgeous, coolest character design.
He is a cool character design.
Of any of them. And that's why I drew him.
And we all agree that he is the most annoying piece of crap in the world.
Oh my gosh. In the second season, though, I feel like they were able to tone him down quite a bit.
They fixed him by making him nonverbal.
Yes.
They made him asleep.
I told somebody, I was like, oh, maybe they got, wind of it from the first season, and they said, oh yeah, let's tone him down. And then our friends pointed out, like, well, the manga's already written, so they just had to follow along with that. So we just got lucky, basically.
I mean, the character, like, I don't think the voice actor really, it's nothing to do with the voice actor. It's really just the character is incredibly annoying.
Exactly.
If you have not watched Demon Slayer, by the way, I would highly recommend it. It's an awesome show.
It
very,
is
very cool.
Very good. And I can say that as a non-versed in anime person. But I really like it. It makes me want to watch other animes.
So when you, like, your workflow here is completely different from mine, because I would never go 75% of the way into an illustration like this without even blocking out the head.
Oh, yeah?
Like, just the general proportion, position of the head, the hair. I would have to, like, do something with that to get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? That you wait so long and you're just like, I can do that later?
I think in this particular case, because my focus was on getting his clothing correct. I think his clothing is a lot of what's interesting about his character design, along with his hair. But since the clothing was what I wanted to get, the folds, the oranges, the saturations, I focused on that and then just added the head in and spent some time on the hair. But I tried to just abandon the face as quickly as I could. Since that wasn't really the focus, I wasn't trying to get a face that looked just like this guy, or definitely not like the character, because I wasn't trying to draw in an anime style. I don't think I do too much with the face in terms of finessing.
I think the overall read of this image is just really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked how this one turned out a lot.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. It's great. I'm a big fan.
Well, thank you. I'm a big fan of yours. Do you remember the name of the character you drew?
I don't, because he is only in the first season for a very small amount of time. Mm-hmm. And because I knew I wouldn't remember his name because it's longer and you never see him again, I actually wrote down the name.
You did?
I kept it open, but
we'll
now
put it in the description.
I don't have it now. I can't remember his name. Yeah. I was like, I know I'm gonna forget this, so I'm gonna save this tab here. And I was like, oh, well, I forgot to bring
title. Do you know who this man is?
Who is this man?
Who is this man?
Who's this man? What do you think he looks like under that mask, though?
Probably
you never get to see it.
He probably looks like the guy from Karate Kid. That's his wax on, wax off. Because if you look at his sides of his face, if you look at his jaw, I feel like I see some kind of
he's got some Karate Kid
tendons.
In there.
In the show, I imagine him to be quite young, but if you look at him, his hair is actually not so much blonde as it is gray, and
he's
I think
old.
You might find an older gentleman under that.
He is
mask.
an older gentleman, of course.
But in the show, I imagined him to be young, and but that doesn't make any sense. Then that he'd be hidden away in the woods and not helping anybody.
Yeah, what is he doing out there, huh?
Guilt. He's just bathed in guilt all the time. If you've seen the first season, you know.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
He's just like, I don't want to do anything. I've ruined a lot. I don't.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because a lot of kids have died.
No, don't spoil. I guess that's not a spoiler. But a lot of people have died in this show. There's a lot of death in this show.
But hey, you're talking about those thick, drastic lines. There I am, starting to do some of those.
Yeah, I like that.
Put on my finishing touches.
Nothing really sharpens a work like adding a nice outline.
Yeah, I think it's a really good way to separate it from the background.
Mm-hmm.
Line weight's definitely something I need to continue to work on and improve. Hence why I really want to find some kind of new line art brush. If anybody has any suggestions for some different brushes that are great for line art or just like sketching, let me know. I would love to try some new things out.
Yeah, it's so fun to explore different brushes and styles. I really like the ones that are very pressure sensitive and will change their thickness, because then you can really make your lines crazy by just using that pressure sensitivity.
Yeah, I mean, you have a lot more control. Yeah, it's just fun to play with. Well, hey, I love your final image. I think he looks awesome.
Thank you. I did a little bit of overlay on the bottom half of it to get in a little more saturation. I love yours,
really?
though. I love its simplicity and its cleanliness and your trueness to all the forms. This was a really good challenge. I'm glad we did this.
Thank you. Like I said, I was kind of a little lazy on this one. I feel like I could have done a lot more, but hey, that's what you get.
That's what you get, and it looks awesome.
Well, click that subscribe button if you're new around here.
And comment below with ideas of other things we can draw. And like I said, fan art's fine. I don't have to be a fan of it. I just have to like how it looks.
This is true. And this is the part where we say
goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
I like the theme song of Demon Slayer, and you
Sing it for
always
me.
make me
How's
skip
it-
it
how's
when
it
we
go?
watch it. I don't know. It just has an amazing like beat drop into the heavy metal section, and as soon as that part's over, I'll skip it.
As soon as the drop hits, I like skip it right at that moment.
I
I'm
know
like,
it.
skip intro.
It destroys me when you do that.